Hey guys, my name is Zach Melton, sponsored by Dynamic Discs, and I want to show you what's in my bag, 2019 edition. I'm going to start with my putters, my putting putters, and I am using the Classic Judge. I know I've used the Prime Judge for the better part of the last 2 years, but I would say probably a month and a half, almost 2 months ago, kind of had some putting struggles and just grabbed 2 new Judges out of the car, and they happened to be these 2 right here, not even matching, and just took them out and started putting with them, and started putting better. Still a Judge. I was using Prime Judges, now I'm using Classic. I like the feel of them, very grippy, a little more firm than the Prime, but both of them work great. I think it was just a mental thing. Used 2 new putters and started jamming them. So Judge is the putter, Team Judge. Next, my throwing putters. Let's start with the least stable, and that is the Lucid Deputy. This is probably one of my favorite throwing putters ever. It's understable, but you can still make it fly straight. And the premium plastic, it's a little bit more, it has a little bit extra stability. And so I can make the Deputy hyzer, straight, turnover. It basically does everything that I need it to. Yeah, it's a great disc. I would suggest trying one out. Next, I throw a couple of Judges. I've got the Team Judge Fusion. It's overstable, but not crazy overstable. It's got good stability. I can kind of rip on it. It goes really far in the premium plastic. It has a little bit of beef at the end, which is good. And then something new to my bag is a Prime Judge, baseline plastic, and I just started throwing these probably in the last couple weeks. And I hate to say it, but after watching Paige Bierkus, who's kind of good at frisbees, throwing baseline plastic Judges for as long as I can remember, I thought I would give them a try, and she was right. Don't tell her, but they're actually pretty good. The baseline plastic Judge is really straight, straighter than the Fusion. But more stable than the Deputy. So it gives me that slot kind of in between those two for just really straight shots. I can get it to turn a little, can get it to hyzer. It does everything. I'll use this in the wind where the Deputy would be a little, too finicky. I throw a harp. This is the BT Hard. This is my sidearm approach and sometimes off the tee on shorter shots, but this is my sidearm disc. I think it's the best in the game. Love this disc. I've been using it since Beaver State Fling last year. It's got the WNC stamp on it. These are great. I don't know what to say. The more I use it, the more I fall in love with this disc. It goes straight, it hyzers, you can turn it, they're really versatile. You can do whatever you want with the harp. So if you haven't tried one, definitely pick up a harp if you've got a good forehand. And the last throwing putter I have, whoa, cart rolling on me, is the Fusion Slammer. Fusion Burst. This is first one I ever picked up, and then right after Paige won Worlds last year, I had her sign it. That way I can remember, hey, anybody can do it. But the Slammer is very, very overstable. It's the most overstable putter in our lineup, and if you need a putter to fight the wind, this is it. For me, I'm left-handed throwing it. It goes right, and that's all it does. If you're right-handed, the wrong hand, you can throw it and it's going to go left for you every time. So if you need a putter, for the wind, for approaches, grab a Slammer. Next, I'm going to go with my mid-ranges. And I carry 4, but 3 of them are the same mold. I'm going to start with the 3 that are the same. I throw the EMAC Truth. I throw it in My Dye Lucid, Moonshine, and I have another Lucid here. It's the B Dynamic. I think it's got the sparks in the plastic. It's a really good mid, guys. I think if you need a straight mid-range with a little bit of stability, the EMAC is the disc for you. These are the first 2 that I got when I joined Dynamic 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. The My Dye has gotten more beat up. I can throw it really hard and flat and get slow turnover shots with it. I can also throw it on hyzer angle and get it to pop up and go straight. It's one of my favorite discs that I carry. The Moonshine has been my overstable EMAC since I switched for 2 years almost, and this year it's finally started straightening up to where when I throw it firm and hard, it'll hold and it'll go straight. Still has a little bit of finish at the end, but when thrown really hard, it's just dead eye straight now. And the third one that I added for this season is this B Dynamic. It's got a nice little pop to it, and this guy is overstable for an EMAC. Love that, love getting them and being able to rip on them and then having a good fade at the end. For me, the EMAC is all I really need to carry. I don't really use other molds. I've got, you know, a beat up one, a straight one, and now an overstable, so that basically covers all the shots for throwing backhand anyways. And the fourth mitt I carry is the Justice. I know a lot of people carry it. I know I'll be throwing it a lot out here at Country Club today on up shots. This is the mid-range that, you know, the big brother to the slammer basically. Super flat, and I think I only throw this sidearm approaches. I've maybe thrown it once or twice backhand where I got into a really windy situation and I just didn't want to throw a putter or a truth, but this is my sidearm approach disc. I use it anywhere from 100 feet all the way up to, you know, over 200, 240, 230. Really overstable and dependable. You know what it's going to do. I sidearm it and it's going to go left. So grab you a Justice if you're out in the wind. Next up are my fairway drivers, and I want to start with my sidearm fairways, which are the Felon. I actually carry these three, are the ones that are in the bag always, and this week here in Emporia I'm carrying a second Lucid-X Eric Oakley. I'll get to that, but the first two that I throw the most, this is a Fusion that's got the skull die on it, and then this is the first Proto Felon that I ever received, and both of them are really straight. The Fusion is a little more beat up, so I can sidearm it really hard, and it sometimes can hold a flip over. I use it kind of for shaping shots in the woods a lot, you know, putting it on Annie and it kind of holding the shot the entire way. And if it's a little too windy for that, then I go to the Proto. This one's really straight with a little bit of fade at the end. I use these a lot in the woods though, more than I do in the open. When I play in the open, I immediately go to the Lucid-X Eric Oakley, his Tour Series. I got the 2018, got two of these. The purple one is the one that I bag, and I've thrown a lot. It's got the spout stamp on the back, but this is a workhorse, man. This is one of my favorite discs in my bag. Very overstable, more overstable than the normal run of Felon. And like I said, I only throw this disc sidearm, and I know what it's going to do. It's going to hold the line I put it on. It's going to go straight. It's going to fade. In wind, I can give it angle, and it'll come out of it. This is definitely a big go-to. And I've got the backup, the Tennessee orange and white, just in case something happens to the purple out here. There's some water. But yeah, love the Felon. Next up, we're going to go with, boom, add Zach Melton Maverick, 2019 Tour Series edition. Yeah, best disc out there. No, seriously though, the Maverick, it's kind of changed my bag. This is just, with little effort, one of the straightest discs I've ever thrown. They are on the slightly understable side, but giving them a little bit of angle and allowing them to work up, I mean, this is one of my favorite discs to throw in the woods. Not really out in the open, but in the woods, it's one of my go-tos. So if you haven't got a Maverick yet, grab you one when they come back out. Next is the Explorer. I bagged two Optos. They actually have the next gen stamp on them. I received these from a friend and put them in the bag and immediately loved them. Where the Maverick is slightly understable and you can get it to throw really straight, the Explorer is just very, very neutral, very straight right out of the box. This is what I throw on a lot of fairway shots where I need it to go straight and maybe a little bit of hyzer, or straight and maybe a little bit of turn, but throwing the disc flat. Yeah, great straight fairway. I suggest you try one out for sure. And the last fairway I throw is the Criminal. Whew. Man, if you need beef on a fairway, the Criminal is the disc. I throw these backhand, and I use them, it's kind of funny, I use the Criminal a lot more away from home than I do at home. Where I play, there's a lot more woods. When I go out on tour, you play in Arizona and Vegas, here in Kansas, you really need to have overstable discs you can trust, and the Criminal is that disc. I carry 3 of them, and 2 are Fusion. This one, the double stamp dynamic disc, it is the oldest one I have. Still overstable, but I can actually get it to fly and hold straight before it finishes. This other misprint, Criminal, this is the one, it's kind of the middle stability. It's more overstable than the most beat up one, but still overstable. This disc doesn't get beat up, it doesn't get flippy, it just kind of holds longer straight before it fades. And the one I'll probably throw the most out here this week is this Lucid Sparkle. And it's got my Santa stamp on the front, but very overstable. Use it on spike hyzer shots, flex shots, skip shots. It's going to come in really handy out here at Country Club this week for GBO. And I lied, that's not my last fairway. Got me on film. The Getaway. I bagged the Getaway. And for every reason that I love the Explorer, the Getaway is just the big brother to the Explorer. It goes further, it's faster, it has more glide, but very neutral flight. I bagged 3 plastics. The first is the Biofusion. It's the oldest in my bag, it's the most beat up, and it's just really straight, and if I rip on it a lot, I can get it to pull over a little bit of ante, but it always kind of finishes flat. The next one is an Airborne stamped Fusion Burst, and this disc is a little bit more stable than the Bio. To me, this disc is just super straight. I used it at Jonesboro at a couple of holes off the tee. I just rip it flat and it goes straight. Has a little bit of finish, but really it's just a straight flight path. I actually use this on rollers sometimes also for a stable roller. Putting it down on the ground close to up and down, and it just holds because of the stability. Really good disc though, love that thing. And the newest Getaway to the bag is the Lucid-X Paige Bierkes Tour Series, and this disc is great. It honestly, it's very similar to me to my beat up Criminal. It just goes further. This disc will fade with the Lucid-X plastic. It's got a lot of overstability in it, but a lot of glide still. They still go really far, they're really fast. For a fairway, it always surprises me how fast this disc goes and how far it goes. I'll use this out here quite a bit, off the tee, on up shots, on par 4s, just really dependable, far flying fairway with a good overstable finish. So check one of these out. And now I'm on to the drivers. I'm gonna go with my sidearm drivers first. I like the Lucid Enforcers. I bag 3 of them, and this first one, and also people hate me for throwing tie-dye discs, but they fly so good I can't help it, but everybody has to help me look for them. This first one, if you've watched any of the video from Nantucket, you'll see me sidearm this quite a bit, and this is basically my sidearm trespass. It says Enforcer, but it's very beat up. I've been throwing it for 2 years, and this is a disc I can sidearm with hyzer, and it'll stand up and still turn. I can throw it smooth and probably like 70% on hyzer and get it to pop up and go really straight, but I use it a lot in the woods for shaping shots, throwing sidearms that kind of bend to the right. Really handy disc to get out of trouble, but one of my favorites, but I don't throw it. I don't think I've thrown it at all in practice for GBO this week, so it's not going to come out of the bag that much. The next is the newer version of that disc. Put it in this winter, and this is probably my go-to. I throw it the most sidearm. I can throw it hard and flat. I'm gonna get a nice straight flight out of it, and then a good overstable finish. I can shape, get good S shots with the sidearm, but this Enforcer is my go-to right now. It's getting a little more beat in to where it'll hold straighter longer, but I can throw sidearms, holes that where it's like 400 feet and to the left, perfect righty hyzer shot. I can actually throw this disc right now and get putts, and it's working really good for me, so loving this guy. Whoop. And this last one is a beefcake. It's actually a Lucid-X Enforcer with a misprint stamp, but it doesn't come out of the bag that often, but when it's too windy for this guy, this is the one I'm throwing sidearm. I actually used it in Jonesboro, a couple of shots where I was throwing the Felon, but it was really windy and I just didn't want to have to crush on the Felon. I actually broke out this Lucid-X Enforcer and threw it sidearm and just go straight and hyzers and skips, and it's really good overstable in the wind. If you need a wind fighter for a driver, that's the disc to go for, I think. Now my main distance driver right now is the Ballista Pro. This is a disc I wasn't sold on when it first came out, but I kept messing with it and kept going back to it and really worked with it at the end of last year, and it has become my favorite distance driver I think I've ever thrown. I prefer it in the gold line plastic, and I like them to have a little bit of dome because I think it adds a little bit of stability. All the ones that I've tried, these are my go-to. This is any distance driver shot you're seeing me throw backhand, it's going to be with the gold line Ballista Pro. It's amazing. It's just effortless distance, brand new, and it's got enough stability. They're pretty neutral to where they're not going to flip on you, they're not going to over hyzer on you. They're pretty straight, and they're really good. So I think you should try Ballista Pro if you're needing some more distance. I've had these two in the bag for half a year. Been throwing them a lot. Yeah, they're great. I mean, we're out here at Country Club in the wind, so I've got a couple of new ones put in the bag. This is a freshie, you know, pretty overstable. I may have to go to it on a couple of tee shots, maybe on hole 18's tee shot, but really, I suggest trying the Ballista Pro, guys. And let's see. Well, I'll save that. I'll save that guy right there. I do have a couple of others to throw, or to show you. These two Ballista Pros are Opto. They're the oldest ones I have. I was throwing this blue one at Idlewild last year, and they are the broke-in kind of hyzer flip to turn versions of the gold line. And they don't come out a lot, but they stay in the bag just because you never know when you're going to need them. But, you know, effortless distance, they're going to crush. These guys are going to crush out and flip for me and hold a turn. Really good disc. So let's see. This is my roller disc, the Opto Burst Havoc. I know you've seen AJ Risley throwing them a lot. That's because of me. I let him try one at Memorial last year, and then he threw it in the water. Never got it back, so I had to get a new one. And now he throws them. He throws them really well. Havoc is one of my favorite discs I've ever thrown for a roller. Out of the box, it's a perfect roller disc. I've had this one in the bag for over a year. It's starting to get pretty flippy on me now, but this is the Havoc I can throw backhand flat, and it'll dive into the ground and hold angle and go for a long ways. You don't have to force it down. I think that's a problem a lot of people try is having to throw a disc down on angle. If you need a roller that's going to help you out, try the Havoc. It basically does it on its own. Throw it flat and hard and let it dive into the ground. I've thrown some really good rollers with this disc. And I've got a couple discs I'm going to have to brag about down here. The new Raider Nation. I don't really like the Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, but these guys are good. The Raider just dropped. I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware. We're here at GBO, and they've got them in the Fusion. And listen, these discs go really far. I think they may knock out my Opto Ballista Pros once I get one broke in. This guy I've been throwing a lot the last few days for practice here, and I think it's going to make the bag and stay in the bag. It's just a straighter version of the Gold Line Ballista Pros for me. And by straighter, I don't mean, you know, they're kind of like flippy. It's just the Raider's very good if you can throw it with a lot of power, get a long straight flight. Not a crazy amount of finish, but a nice straight flight, but it's definitely good stability at the end. So try the Raider, guys. They're pretty good. My Mini with my bag. I don't go anywhere without Smokey. Got to rep Tennessee, as you can see. Always take him with me everywhere I go. And got to give a couple shout outs. Well Sacks, thank you Tina, love you guys. Thanks for sponsoring me. Shady Rays, and obviously Dynamic Discs. And thanks for watching my In the Bag, guys.